I stood beside Ethan, smiling because he asked me to, even though my chest felt tight. Relax, he whispered, squeezing my hand. This is a good day. It doesn't feel like it, I said quietly. Why are so many people here?
He laughed.
You always overthink. I looked around the white garden, the soft lights, the familiar faces. You said this was a small gathering. It is, he replied, not meeting my eyes. For us. For us. I repeated. 5 years with him had trained me to trust that tone. I remembered our tiny apartment, our late-night talks, the promises he made when he said, I choose you. I believed him every time. Ethan, I said, why is Lena here? He stiffened. She's important. To you? I asked. She's relevant, he said. Lena stood a few steps away, her dress perfect, her smile nervous. She avoided my gaze.
Hi, she said.
I didn't know how to say this. Say what? I asked. Ethan cleared his throat. I need you to listen. My heart started racing. You're scaring me. You'll understand, he said. Just stay calm. I laughed softly. You sound like you're about to fire me. This isn't a joke, he said. People began to turn toward us. I lowered my voice. Talk to me, not them. He let go of my hand. I need you to stand here.
Why?
I asked. Because you matter, he said. That's not an answer, I said. Lena stepped closer. I never wanted to hurt you. I stared at her. Then why are you here? She swallowed. He asked me to come. I looked back at him. Ethan? He nodded. I made a decision. A decision about what? I asked. About my future, he said. And me? I asked. He hesitated. That pause sliced through me. I need you to support me, he said. Just for today. Support you doing what? I whispered. He finally met my eyes. Moving forward. With her? I asked. Silence answered me. My ears rang. You told me you loved me. I do, he said quickly. This isn't about love. Then what is it about? I asked. Stability, he said. Opportunity. I shook my head. So, I'm not enough. You're being emotional, he said. I laughed again, louder this time. I'm being human. Lena whispered. I'm sorry. Don't, I said. Not like this. Ethan leaned closer. Please don't make a scene. A scene? I echoed. Just stand with me, he said. Show everyone we're mature. I felt heat crawl on my neck. You want me here, so you don't look like the bad guy. He didn't deny it. My hands trembled. If I stay, I said, it's because I don't yet know how to leave. He nodded. Thank you. Something cracked inside me as I stood there, beside the man who had already let me go. Maya brushed past us and whispered, Are you okay? I wanted to say no. I wanted to scream. Instead I said, I'm fine. Ethan heard and relaxed. See, he said, smiling for others. She understands. I realized then he needed my silence more than my love. I stood straighter, not proud, not brave, just stuck, while applause started for a future that no longer included me. I smiled, because breaking would come later. I stood frozen while Ethan lifted his glass. Thank you all for being here, he said calmly. Tonight matters to me. My stomach dropped. Ethan, I whispered. What are you doing? He smiled without looking at me. I want to be honest. People leaned closer. I felt their eyes crawling over my skin. Now? I asked. Yes, he said. Now is right. Lena stood beside him, hands clasped. She stared at the floor like it might save her. I wanted to scream her name, but my voice refused to work. Ethan continued, I've spent years building toward this moment. Maya appeared at my side. What is happening? She asked under her breath. I don't know, I said. My lips barely moved. Ethan said my name. The sound felt sharp. You've been important to me. Important. Past tense. The word echoed in my head. Maya stepped forward. Ethan, stop. This isn't the place. He raised a hand. Please. Let me finish. Finish hurting her? Maya snapped. People shifted. Someone coughed. No one stopped him. I've made a choice, Ethan said. One that aligns with my future. My heart slammed. You promised me, I said loudly. He looked at me then, eyes steady. I promised to be honest.
This isn't honesty, I said.
This is cruelty. He ignored that. Lena and I will be moving forward together. A sharp sound escaped me. You couldn't tell me alone? I needed transparency, he said. So you needed witnesses, I replied. Maya grabbed my arm. We can leave.
Please don't, Ethan said.
I laughed, broken. You don't get to ask that. Lena whispered, I never wanted this public. Then why are you here? I asked. She had no answer. This isn't an attack, Ethan said. It feels like one, I said. Pain is part of growth, he replied. You're humiliating her, Maya said. She's strong, he said. She'll understand. I felt heat rise. You decided that for me? People whispered. I heard my name. My throat burned. I wanted to disappear. I hope we can stay respectful, Ethan said. Respectful. I almost laughed. Maya whispered. Say the word. If I leave, I said, you'll call me dramatic. He didn't deny it. So I'll stay, I said. Not for you.
Thank you, he said.
Applause followed. I stood there, silent, realizing the truth. He didn't just leave me. He chose to make me small, and that hurt more than losing him. I unlocked the door, and the silence rushed at me. I'm home, I said, then laughed at myself. Of course I am. I kicked off my shoes and said, you could have called. My voice echoed back, useless. I sat on the couch and stared at the wall. What did I do wrong? I asked out loud. Was I too patient? Too loyal? I picked up my phone. Just explain it, I whispered. One sentence. Nothing. I scrolled through old messages. You said forever, I murmured. You said I was your safe place. My chest tightened. Was I blind? I asked. Or were you lying the whole time? I closed my eyes and heard his voice saying, trust me. I said, I trusted you with everything. My phone buzzed, and I jumped. Ethan? I said. It was Maya. I'm outside, she said. Open the door. I didn't move. I don't want company. You don't get to disappear, she replied. I opened the door. She hugged me and said, he's a fool. That doesn't help, I said. She pulled back. Do you want me to stay? No, I said. I wanted to talk. She sighed. I know. After she left, I called Mrs. Hale. My hand shook. Hello. She answered quietly. I was hoping you'd call. I don't understand, I said. I thought I was family. You were, she replied. You still are to me. Then why is he silent? I asked. She paused. He avoids what makes him uncomfortable. So I'm uncomfortable now, I said. I'm sorry, she said. Sorry doesn't explain why he planned this, I said. She didn't answer. The line went dead, and I stared at my reflection. Even you won't defend me, I whispered. Night dragged on. I checked my phone again. Any time, I said. I'll listen. I imagined him saying, I didn't mean to hurt you. I imagined forgiving him. I hated myself for that. Anger crept in. You didn't have to humiliate me, I said. You chose to. I lay awake until morning. The light felt cruel. I grabbed my phone one last time. No calls. No texts. I laughed softly. So this is it, I said. I finally understood something. His silence wasn't confusion. It was a choice. And that silence hurt more than anything he said that I stopped when I heard my name. She doesn't know, a voice said quietly. I turned toward the hallway. Know what? I asked. Noah froze. I didn't realize you were here. I am, I said. So talk. He hesitated. This isn't my place. It became your place when you said my name, I replied. He sighed. Ethan didn't want this getting back to you. That already happened, I said. Try again. He rubbed his face. He planned it. I felt numb. Planned what? The announcement, Noah said. The timing. The crowd. For how long? I asked. Months, he said. Since the merger talk started. I laughed once. So, I was part of the presentation. That's not how he put it, Noah said. How did he put it? I asked. He said you were sentimental, Noah said. That Lena made more sense. Sense how? I asked. She comes with connections, he said. Her family invested early. My hands clenched. So love was optional. He said love fades, Noah replied. But image lasts. I closed my eyes. Did he ever feel guilty? Noah didn't answer right away. He said you'd understand eventually. I opened my eyes. Because I'm quiet. Because you're kind, he said. That wasn't kindness, I said. That was convenience. He nodded. I thought you deserved to know. Why now? I asked. Because he's already rewriting the story, Noah said. He's saying you agreed. I laughed softly. Of course he is. You didn't, Noah said quickly. I know, I said. But lies spread faster. He shifted. I'm sorry. Don't be, I said. You just gave me clarity. He looked relieved. What will you do? I thought about it. Disappear, I said. Or wake up. Revenge, he asked. I shook my head. Revenge still means caring. That sounds cold, he said. I'm tired of bleeding, I replied. He studied me. You're not crying. I already did, I said. This is what comes after. What's that? He asked. Thinking, I said. He nodded. If you need proof. I don't, I said. The truth fits too well. He stepped back. I won't say anything else. You already said enough, I replied. When he left, I sat alone and spoke to the air. So that's what I was worth. I imagined Ethan explaining it calmly. I imagined him practicing the speech. I felt nothing. I loved you, I said. But you loved optics. The pain didn't disappear. It hardened. I stood up and said, I won't beg for clarity again. My phone stayed silent. I didn't check it. For the first time since that night, I wasn't waiting. I wasn't crying. I was thinking. I met Ethan at the cafe he used to love. He said, thanks for coming. I said, you said you wanted to clear the air. He nodded. I think we should talk like adults. I replied, adults don't humiliate each other.
He sighed.
You're still angry. I said, I'm still listening. He leaned back. I assumed you'd move on quietly. I asked, did you assume I'd forgive you too? He said, eventually. I laughed once. You plan my patience? He frowned. I didn't plan to hurt you. I said, you planned everything else. He looked away. This doesn't need to be dramatic. I replied, you made it public. He said, people forget. I answered, I didn't. He tapped the table. I cared about you. I said, caring isn't choosing. He said, Lena fits my future. I asked, does she know she's a strategy? He stiffened. Don't attack her. I said, I'm not. A woman approached our table. Ethan, she said, we need to talk. Ethan said, not now. She looked at me. I'm Clara. I said, I know. She hesitated. You deserved better. Ethan snapped, Clara. She shrugged. Truth matters. She left. Ethan said, ignore her. I replied, you can't. He leaned closer. What do you want from me? I answered, nothing. He blinked. Nothing. I said, no apologies. No excuses. No explanations. He said, so this is it? I stood up. This is me choosing myself. He whispered, you'll regret walking away. I said, I already survived staying. I walked out shaking, terrified, but steadier with every step forward. Knowing fear meant I finally chose me. Did I told Maya, I'm not okay, but I'm functioning. She said, that counts. I said, some days it doesn't. She replied, then borrow my strength. We sat in my kitchen. She asked, "Have you eaten?" I said, "I forgot." She pushed a plate toward me. "Start small." I nodded. "I'm trying." She said, "You don't talk about him anymore." I answered, "I talk about me." She smiled. "That's new." At work, Daniel called me into his office.
"Sit," he said.
I sat. He said, "You've been quiet." I replied, "I'm still here." He said, "You've been shrinking." I frowned. I didn't notice. He leaned forward. "You stopped asking for space." I said, "I didn't want trouble." He said, "Peace isn't silence." I let that settle. "What do you want?" he asked. I said, "To feel solid again." He nodded. "Then take up room." Later, Maya texted, "He posted again." I replied, "I'm not looking." She sent a screenshot anyway. Ethan smiled beside Lena. I stared. "They look happy," I said. Maya wrote, "Do they?" I zoomed in. His eyes looked tired. Her smile looked forced. I locked my phone. "Not my problem," I said aloud. I set alarms. "Wake up," I told myself. "Drink water." I spoke every step. "You're allowed to exist." At lunch, a coworker asked, "Are you free tonight?" I said, "No, I didn't explain." That felt like power. Daniel passed my desk. "Good meeting today," he said. I replied, "I spoke." He smiled. "You did." I surprised myself by smiling back. At night, I asked the dark, "Is karma real?" I answered myself, "Maybe it's just consequences." I thought about Ethan's smile, the cracks I noticed. I felt nothing sharp, just distance. Maya called. "You're different," she said. I asked, "Better?" She said, "Stronger." I replied, quietly. She laughed. "That's my favorite kind." I opened my laptop and typed goals. "One step," I whispered. Then another. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I stared, then turned it face down. "Not tonight," I said. I washed dishes slowly. I breathed. "You survived," I told my reflection. "Now live." I didn't need revenge. I needed roots. I didn't need answers. I needed ground. Before sleep, I checked social media once more. I saw tension, not joy. I closed the app. "Whatever happens," I said, "happens without me." In the quiet, rebuilding felt invisible but solid. I wasn't rising loudly. I was standing. I heard Ethan's name before I saw Noah. "This stays between us," Noah said. I replied, "It always does." He hesitated. "His promotion is under review." I didn't react. "Why?" I asked. He said, "Questions about judgment." I nodded. "Public judgment?" He answered, "Very." I sipped my coffee. "Anything else?" He lowered his voice. "Lena's family isn't happy." I asked, "With him?" He said, "With everything." I leaned back. "That sounds stressful." He watched me. "You're calm." I said, "I'm not involved." Noah studied my face. He didn't expect consequences. I replied, "He expected control." Noah exhaled. "He keeps blaming pressure." I said, "Pressure reveals priorities." Noah nodded slowly. "You've changed." I said, "I stopped carrying what isn't mine." That night my phone buzzed. Ethan's name lit the screen. I let it ring. It rang again. I answered. "What do you want?" He said, "You don't have to sound like that." I replied, "You don't have to call." He sighed. "Things are complicated." I said, "They usually are when plans fail." He snapped, "You don't know what I'm dealing with." I answered, "I'm not guessing." He lowered his voice. "People are questioning me." I said, "People noticed." He said, "This wasn't supposed to happen." I asked, "What was supposed to happen?" He paused. "We were supposed to move on." I said, "I did." He scoffed. "You think you're better now?" I replied, "I think I'm done explaining myself." He sounded irritated. "You could help." I asked, how? He said, by clarifying things. I laughed quietly. Clarifying your story? He said, you're being difficult. I answered, you're being desperate. Silence stretched. He said, you don't have to enjoy this. I replied, I'm not. He tried again. Lena's parents are pushing timelines. I asked, why tell me? He said, you know how to calm situations. I said, I don't manage your life anymore. He muttered, you used to care. I replied, I cared when I was respected. He grew sharp. So, this is revenge? I said, this is absence.
He scoffed.
You're cold. I answered, I'm clear. He paused. I didn't think you'd detach like this. I said, I didn't plan it. He sighed hard. Everything's slipping. I said, hold tighter. He snapped, that's not funny. I replied, I'm not joking. Another pause. He said, I thought you'd fight. I answered, I chose peace. He sounded small. You don't care what happens to me? I said, I care enough not to interfere. He whispered my name. I said, goodbye. I hung up before he could answer. I sat quietly and felt nothing surge. No triumph. No pity. Just space. I understood then I didn't need to destroy him. He had already built something fragile. I looked at my reflection and said, stay steady. I wasn't watching his fall. I was watching myself stand. Script generator. I ran into Clara outside the bookstore. She said my name first. I hoped I'd see you. I replied, I didn't expect to. She smiled tiredly. No one ever does. We stood there awkwardly. She asked, can we talk? I said, I think we already have. She nodded. Not like this. We sat on a bench. Clara said, I won't pretend Lena is a villain. I answered, I don't need her to be. Clara exhaled. She's afraid of being ordinary. I said, aren't we all? Clara shook her head. She's terrified of being powerless. I asked, so she grabs control? Clara said, exactly. I folded my arms. Why tell me? She replied, because Ethan refuses to see patterns. I said, he never did.
Clara looked at me.
She studies people. I asked, to hurt them? Clara said, to stay ahead. I nodded slowly. That sounds familiar. Clara continued, she mirrors what people want. I said, I noticed. Clara said, then she tightens her grip. I asked, does he know? Clara laughed without humor. He calls it confidence. I said, he mistakes ambition for stability. She leaned closer. She doesn't love him. I replied, he doesn't love her. Clara paused. That's harsh. I shrugged. It's honest.
Clara studied me.
You sound healed. I said, I'm aware. She sighed. Part of me hoped you'd warn him. I asked, why? Clara said, because he won't listen to me. I looked down. He never listened to me either. Clara said, he trusted you once. I answered, he trusted what I gave him. Guilt crept in. I shouldn't feel relieved, I said. Clara replied, but you do. I nodded. I do. She said, that doesn't make you cruel. I said, it makes me human. Clara stood. He's ignoring red flags. I replied, blindness can be a choice. She hesitated. So, you won't say anything? I shook my head. Silence is my boundary. She nodded slowly. That's fair. I said, it's necessary. She offered a small smile. Take care of yourself. I answered, I am. After she left, I spoke quietly. You warned him. I told the air. He ignored it. I thought about every moment I excused. Every sign I softened. I did that too, I admitted. My phone buzzed. Ethan's name hovered. I stared at it. You want saving, I said, not truth. I put the phone away. I walked home thinking, Lena isn't evil. She's afraid, ambitious, hungry. And Ethan chose that reflection because it fed him. I whispered, some lessons need consequences. I didn't interfere. I didn't warn. I didn't rescue. I chose silence, not out of spite, but clarity. Maya slid her phone across the table.
Look, she said.
I glanced once.
She's gone, I said.
Maya nodded. No Lena. No captions. I leaned back. That was fast. Maya asked, how do you feel? I answered, quiet. She studied me. Not relieved. I shook my head. Relief feels loud. She sighed. His work friends are whispering. I asked, about what? She said, budgets. Missed meetings. Bad calls. I nodded. Pressure compounds. That night my phone rang. I almost ignored it. I answered. Hello. Ethan's voice sounded thin. I didn't think you'd pick up. I said, you called. He exhaled. Everything's collapsing. I replied, you sound surprised. He snapped, don't do that. I asked, do what? He said, act distant. I answered, I am distant. He paused. Lena left. I said, I noticed. He whispered, she said I changed. I replied, people notice when masks slip. He swallowed. Work is a mess. I asked, what happened? He said, they're reviewing my decisions. I answered, that happens. He said, my accounts are frozen. I was silent. He rushed on. I didn't plan this outcome. I said, you planned control. He said, I planned security. I replied, at my expense. He lowered his voice. I regret how I handled it. I waited. He added, I regret losing you. That was new. I felt it land and pass. Regret isn't repair, I said. He said, I was scared. I answered, so was I. He said, I should have listened. I replied, you heard me. He whispered, I didn't value it. Silence stretched. He finally said, can you say something? I asked, like what? He said, anything. I answered, I'm listening. He laughed bitterly. That's worse. I didn't respond. He continued, I thought success would protect me. I said, it doesn't. He said, I feel exposed. I replied, that's honesty. He asked, do you hate me? I answered, no, he sounded shocked. You don't. I said, hate takes energy.
He sighed.
I miss how you studied me. I replied, that was never my job. He said, I know that now. I asked, what will you do? He said, I don't know. I answered, figure it out. He went quiet. You're not coming back, he said. I replied, no, he whispered my name. I said nothing. After the call, Maya texted, you okay? I typed, I listened. She replied, that's strength. I sat in the dark and felt no urge to fix him. Listening was enough. It let the truth echo. He had everything once. Now he had my silence that I met Ethan at the park he used to take me to. He said, thank you for coming. I replied, I'm here for closure. He nodded, uneasy. I want to apologize. I said, go ahead. He took a deep breath. I was cruel. I humiliated you. I thought it would be easier if I explained in public, but it wasn't. Not for you. I listened silently. I misused your trust, he said. I hurt you intentionally. I nodded once. I see that now. He looked down. I don't expect forgiveness. I asked, then why are you here? He said, because you deserve honesty. I replied, I have it already. He glanced up. I thought I could control outcomes. I thought I could manage you, us, everyone. I said, and you learned otherwise. He swallowed. I feel the weight of what I've done. I nodded. It doesn't undo what happened. He hesitated. Do you think I regret it? I answered, I think you feel it. He said, I should have been better. I said, better is different from understanding. He paused. I understand now. I replied, you understand too late. Can you forgive me? He asked quietly. I looked at him. I can forgive, Ethan, but that doesn't mean we go back. He flinched slightly. You're right. I said, humiliation changes people forever. It leaves marks you can't erase. He nodded slowly. I see that. I continued. I won't erase what you did. I won't pretend it didn't happen. That's not forgiveness. It's denial. I forgive you for my own peace, not for us. He blinked. I thought I could fix it by asking. I replied, some things aren't fixable. He said softly, I destroyed what I took for granted. I said, not everything. Just me in the way you wanted me. He nodded. I'm sorry, I answered. I believe you, but I don't need your apology anymore. He tried one last time. You'll always care? I said, I care enough to respect myself and to let you leave that space. He looked down. I didn't know you could be this calm. I replied, calm isn't weakness. It's boundaries. I misjudged you, he said. I smiled faintly. And I misjudged how much patience I had. He laughed softly, bitter. I don't deserve this. I said, you get honesty. That's all you need now. I stood. Goodbye, Ethan. He said my name, hesitant. I didn't look back. I walked away feeling lighter, knowing forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation, and that my calm was my own victory. I answered the phone. Hello. A voice said, congratulations, we want you for the lead project. I smiled. I accept. They laughed. Fantastic. I hung up and breathed. I did it, I whispered. Maya peeked in. Already celebrating? I said, I'm starting. She asked, nervous? I shook my head. Excited. Not afraid. She smiled. Look at you. I said, I look different to myself too. Daniel called. Are you ready for the new role? I said, I am. I've been ready for months. He chuckled. Good. Confidence suits you. I replied, it took losing control to find it. Later, I texted my team. Let's meet tomorrow. Big things ahead. My phone buzzed. Ethan. I stared, then deleted it. Not now, I said. Maya asked, no curiosity? I said, no. He's background noise. She laughed. Strong choice. I shrugged. Necessary choice. I walked home and looked at the skyline. This is mine, I said. My reflection in the window nodded. I remembered the nights I cried, the humiliation, the silence. I'm still standing, I whispered. At the coffee shop, I ordered my usual. The barista smiled. Big day. I said, yes, and small steps count. He nodded. I found a seat by the window. I pulled out my notebook. Plan ahead, I muttered. I sketched ideas, timelines, goals. Maya texted, are you breathing? I replied, fully. That evening, I ran errands. I noticed people around me laughing, couples arguing, someone dropping a phone. I smiled softly. Life moved on. I didn't stop it. I didn't interfere. I didn't care if Ethan fell or rose. I simply existed. At home, I sat on the balcony. Karma, I whispered. It works quietly. I imagined Lena leaving, Ethan struggling. I felt no joy. Only distance. Only peace. Maya called again. Dinner? I said, let's go. We laughed over pasta. I said, I never thought I'd feel normal again. She smiled. You feel better than normal. I nodded. I feel free. I opened my laptop to check emails. Nothing urgent from him. Nothing to remind me of the past. I typed my schedule for tomorrow. Time to step into life fully, I said aloud. Before bed, I checked my phone once more. No messages, no alerts. I set it aside. This silence, I whispered, is mine. I lay down, thinking of the past year. Every humiliation, every moment I feared, every tear shed, It shaped me. I whispered, I own my life now. I closed my eyes. No guilt, no regret. Just air in my lungs and a heartbeat steady and strong. I felt my freedom stretch wide. I didn't need to watch anyone else's fall. I didn't need revenge. I only needed me. And for the first time, I chose myself without hesitation. I sit by the window, watching the city lights flicker. I say aloud, I survived it all. Maya walks in. You look different, she says. I smile faintly. I feel different. I finally belong to myself. She sits beside me. It wasn't easy. I nod.
No.
Every moment of humiliation, every forced smile, every late night of tears, it taught me something I didn't know I had. Maya asks, do you regret him? I shake my head.
No.
Losing Ethan didn't hurt because he left me. It hurt because I trusted him blindly. But that was my lesson, not my life sentence. She leans back. You've changed. I say, I've grown. I stopped asking for validation from people who never deserved it. I think back to the day he asked me to stand beside Lena. I whisper, he wanted to break me. He didn't realize he was breaking himself too. I remember my first scream of disbelief, the nights I cried alone, the moments of frozen silence when his words sink in. I felt small, I admit to myself, but being small isn't permanent. I chose to stand again. Maya smiles. And you did. I reply, I didn't just stand, I rebuilt. I think of Clara, of Noah, of Daniel, of the people who never betrayed me. Some people show their true selves by leaving, I say, and some by staying and teaching you who you really are. My phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. I open it.
Ethan.
I read. I never realized until it was too late. I stare at it. I don't respond. I whisper. Too late indeed. I lean back. He didn't lose me when he chose her, I say. He lost everything the day he chose cruelty over love, manipulation over trust. That's the real downfall. I feel it deep in my chest, a calm, unshakable clarity. Maya asks, do you ever think about confronting him? I shake my head.
No.
What would I gain? Nothing. His consequences are his own. My power lies in my distance, my choices, my life. She nods. You're free. I say, exactly. Freedom is louder than revenge. I take a deep breath. I am not defined by his actions. I am defined by how I responded to them, by how I chose myself. I remember the nights I stayed silent, the phone calls I ignored, the doors I closed. Every time I didn't beg, every time I didn't cry for him, every time I didn't explain myself, I reclaimed a piece of me. Maya smiles softly. You're whole. I say, I am. And I finally understand that my peace is more important than his regret, more important than his apology, more important than watching him fall. I stand and walk to the balcony. The air feels crisp, real. I am strong. I whisper to the city, to myself, to the universe. I am steady. I am grounded. I am whole. I think of the past year, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the loneliness. It hurt, I admit, but it didn't destroy me. I look at the skyline. He chose to humiliate me. He chose cruelty. That choice became his prison, not mine. Maya calls out softly, you've earned this. I reply, I have, and I'll keep earning it every day. I breathe in, slow and deep, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders. I whisper, I'm no longer the girl who stood there quietly, hoping to be chosen. I am the woman who chooses herself every single day. I close my eyes and smile, finally at peace. The past exists, but it no longer controls me. I am here. I am strong. I am free. And in that moment I know, he didn't just lose me. He lost everything the day he tried to break me, and I gained a life he will never touch. I step inside, confident, grounded, and unshakable. My story is mine. My power is mine. My peace is mine. I am whole.